All right. Okay, so I'm going to do this one. I'm going to do it in two parts because I'll run off on a tangent, about the pitfalls of the Hebrew roots movement. As you can see, I've got my Tetragrammaton hat. I'm going to be doing part two of this from the Feast of Tabernacles in Oklahoma, which I go to every year if I can. Um, Basically, in my experience, in my 15, 16 years of experience, and I came up in the Torah, and I'll get to that in a second, I find a lot of people and, basically confusion with a lot of people that have a lot of pride in this movement. I'm making a disclaimer. I'm not for or against the Torah. I believe in keeping the Torah, but they're memorials. We cannot keep the feast the ways they should be kept in any kind of captivity. We don't have a standing priesthood. We don't have a oral law. And yes, there was an oral law. It's been perverted, but there was Moses had questions he was asked that he didn't write everything down. Okay. I'm basing the premise on these teachings on two concepts that a lot of people forget once they come into these things with their pride: least versus greatest. And basically Yeshua telling the Pharisees, if you weren't blind, or if you were blind, you wouldn't be guilty of your sin. Meaning there's levels of ignorance for people, and there's a lot of people in this movement that are so puffed up with pride. They get into the Torah for 10 or 15 years. They totally forget what it's like to, not understand anything, The facts are, I've been in this for about 16 years, and I got some credentials in this game. When I first came into the Torah, I didn't know the difference between a Baptist and a Pentecostal. I came straight out of the world, directly into the Torah. No pass go, no being raised in the church, okay? I was mentored by a man that basically taught and mentored other big names in this movement, like Rico Cortez. And, he used to have a house where I would go and learn at his feet. And he'd have people like Eddie Chumney and Brad Scott he was friends with. I got some of the best, deepest teachings for like a year straight where I sat at this man's feet. I'm no kids, okay? I'm not married. So I had all times. I was going to conferences, 3 and 4 hour conferences every weekend. I was keeping 3 feast days when I came into it. I would keep the new moon, the slivered moon. I would keep the dark moon. I would keep, multiple tabernacles. So I got a lot of information the first year, and, I was taught very well. And then from there, I went into one of the biggest deliverance ministries in Hebrew roots communities in the country. I mean, we're talking about Book of Acts, casting out demons, miracles on a semi-daily and weekly basis, things that most people in this movement will never see because, I'll get into that in the second part of my teaching. You don't see the power of God demonstrated in a lot of these groups. You just don't happen. There's a reason for it. So basically, this is just an intro and a disclaimer, that I am not here, to tell you what your convictions are. Just like my alcohol teaching or anything else, I'm here to tell you to go to God, okay? God's going to tell you via conviction. He's going to tell you via dreams and other ways, what you're supposed to be doing according to your own convictions, okay? There is many movements of God, despite what a lot of people in this movement think. Okay, there's a lot of heresy in this movement as well. I mean, I've seen more people leave Yeshua and go to Judaism and other things in this movement than I've ever seen in Christianity, okay? There's many movements of God. I always say there's many streams and many rivers coming from the source. And some of these streams and some of these rivers are more polluted than others. Some of these streams are more religious than others. Okay. And that's just how it is. It's that way in Christianity too. Unfortunately, we are in the end times and we are in Babylon as far as confusion goes. Okay. My goal, my channel, if you look down, if you've never seen this channel before, I'm coming from Touching the Afterlife, where I'm reaching many people. I have various testimonies and my personal testimonies out there. I'm here for a certain purpose. Okay, I know my role. I'm here to help the prodigals, the newbies, the people that have fallen away in sin so far that they need encouragement. When I do any other teachings or something like this, it's to help you. I'm not going to be here every day doing every kind of various teaching. That's not my job. Okay, I'm satisfied with my role. Okay, I'm here to help you and whoever Yah draws to me. Okay, as I said, God's a river. Okay, There's shallow waters in the river, and a lot of Hebrew roots is very shallow waters. Just like in Christianity, there's a lot of Baptist churches that is shallow waters. It's not that the waters are bad. I mean, you've got to start somewhere. Some people never leave the shallow waters, okay? And that's, that's fine. I go into this in the second part, inner courts, outer courts. It's not that any court is more important than the other court. Just some people want to stay in the outer court. Some people want to stay in the ankle length waters. Some don't. And unfortunately, in these movements, whether it's the Messianic movement, whether it's the one house movement, the two house movement, whether it's, different various Sabbaths that they want to keep, or whoever, you're going to have just shallow waters. You're going to have people that just sit there and are just religious as all can be, and I'm going to try to highlight some of the hypocrisies and the nonsense that goes on in it to help you to have a better perspective, because I know many in those movements. Okay. I know many great people in those movements. I'm going to talk about some of that on the next part, but I want to give a disclaimer that I'm not against the Torah. Like I said, I don't eat pork. Okay. I keep the feast, but at the same time, I don't try to tell people that they're going to burn in hell if they don't put a tent in their backyard for tabernacles, or if they don't have understanding, a deeper understanding of these things, because this is why this movement is such a mess right now. There's all kinds of pride in this movement. And there's a lot of people that are very confused. So the goal here is to try to bring some balance on where we're supposed to be at. It's not about whether you eat a cracker for 7 days. It's not about whether you wave the lulav on the tabernacle. These things are great. I told you I do these things. What it's about is having proper perspective of learning. Yah's giving these feasts because they're secular in nature. It teaches you a lot of things about how your own personal inner journey is. We go through the Passover. We go through, most people never make it to Pentecost, but we go through these circular patterns in our own life. It's a teaching tool. People get so caught up in the religiosity of it that it turns into demonic doctrines, and it's all over the place. You've got people that have no idea. They're just like the Pharisees. They think because they went from a Baptist religion where they didn't believe in the gifts of the Spirit, and they were all about mind candy and all this, and they come over here to Hebrew roots and they put on a kippah and they put on a timu prayer shawl, and they carry those same religious demons. It's not the point of the teaching. So I want to start this off as a basic foundation of where I'm heading for it. On the next teaching, I'm going to go into some of my experiences, some of the various doctrines that people fight over, and how it's absolutely not of Yah to do that. and if you're just starting out in this movement, I'm not here to condemn you. Some people say, well, do I need to keep this and that? I don't know. I know that there's plenty of Christians that were filled with the baptism of the Holy Spirit and accepted by Yah that were keeping Christmas. I know that's blasphemy to a lot of you, but it happens. Different people move at different levels. There's some people that are going to be in the shallow waters of a pool and never know anything about the Torah and be just as saved as you are for 10 years. There's some people that are going to go and get some revelation after 15 years of being told that some of the things they're doing are probably not what the Hebrew Messiah did. And that's okay. This is the problem with this movement. And I'm going to get into it. Like I said, this is just an opener. Okay. I'm going to be doing this from the Feast of Tabernacles. Stay tuned. Okay. Like I said, this is just an opening to get all this preliminary ramblings out of the way, because if I don't do it on this teaching, I'm going to sit there and do it for 25 minutes while I'm at Tabernacles, have to re-edit it and everything. But yeah. So like I said, I come from straight into the Torah. Okay, and then I went straight into a book of Acts community, not a church, where I lived. I saw every form of hypocrisy there is. And I've been in every movement. Like I said, I've been in one house, I've been in two house, I've been in, Black Hebrew Israelite type of stuff, everyone. And I'm here to give you some wisdom going forward on how you should approach it. So I will be doing part 2 on this. I'll probably release this, somewhere around the 12th or 13th or so. So I'll probably be around the 20th of October. So stay tuned. I'm not going to be doing many videos after this. I told you my goal has been reached as far as my testimonies and stuff. I'm going to be moving more towards a podcast oriented type of teachings, where I'm going to bring a lot of my friends on and my prophetic friends and do testimonies, and I might pop on every once in a while as these end times increase, you know, with some wisdom nuggets or something like that. But yeah, that's basically it for this video. So go ahead and stay tuned for part 2.